question: who are retail investors looking to for guidance in 2021? Today I'll answer that by giving you some of the most popular names out there, including one that you might not have thought of, at least until recently. And for these names, I'll share some of the reasons why people are flocking to them and some of the more recent investments they're focusing on. Now, I've been investing for a long time, almost 25 years, and I've seen a lot. The irrational exuberance of the 90s, the popping of the dot-com bubble, the financial crisis, and then 2020 happened, which I still know how to label. And I have to say that investing has gone mainstream in a way that I had never seen until recently. With the proliferation of the retail investor, enabled by low to no cost trading from a disruptor like Robinhood, there's a momentum that's pushing back on Wall Street with a fervor that's almost unbelievable. And within this growing retail investor class, there's been a thirst for getting information to help guide them. My name is Kevin, and today I'm going to share where a lot of these newer investors are looking to find that advice. I'll give you 5 names that they're turning to, and most importantly, why. As you watch the video, let me know which name you're most interested in learning more about in the comments, and there's a good chance I'll make a dedicated video on the one with the most votes. So let's start off with a strategy that's been used forever, and that's following the people that have done really well at investing. For years, and I mean years, one name stood out among them all, and that was Warren Buffett, the proclaimed Oracle of Omaha. This man stood at the top of the mountain when new investors were looking for whom to pattern themselves after, and then listened to every word as gospel when he spoke about where he saw the market going. Now, over the past few years, Buffett, along with Berkshire Hathaway, haven't been exactly blowing it out of the water in comparison to the broader markets in general, so many new investors, and particularly millennials, have been looking for another great investor to emulate. And while there's a few popular names to choose from, I have to say, very few, if any, seem to match the current enthusiasm I see for Cathie Wood, the founder and CEO of ARK Invest. Cathie Wood, with one eye on the present and one on the future, she's become a leader of a new breed of retail investors who look to follow her every move. And to her credit, she makes it easy by being very transparent and posting her trades daily. And you have to give her due, as her extremely popular ARK Innovation ETF had big returns in the last year, over 150% from January 1st to the end of 2020, just one of 5 ARK ETFs that had over 100% gains for the year. And a major part of that was due to her big position in a company that retail investors love, and one that many institutional investors just don't seem to properly appreciate, and that's Tesla, which holds about a 10% weight in the fund. Tesla is a prime example of a company that Cathie Wood and ARK Invest targets, a company that falls within ARK's cornerstone strategy aiming to capture new products or services within areas such as energy storage, the increased use of autonomous technology, next-generation internet services, DNA technologies, and technologies that make financial services more efficient. The common theme in this strategy is investing in technology, and technology is a sector that has led the pack of all sectors over the past 5 years and holds a lot of interest by investors of growth stocks, so ARK, with its holdings and objectives, and with its recent success, has very understandably caught investors' eyes. And now, when Cathie Wood speaks, people listen. When ARK Invest adds a company to its list of holdings, you can expect that that stock will rise, as a lot of investors will follow her lead and buy into that company as well. In fact, one of the big catalysts for Palantir stock taking off after an initial lackluster first month of being public was Cathie Wood adding the company to the ARK Next Generation Internet ETF. And something else, she's also a proponent of Bitcoin and crypto as a hedge and has been talking more and more about it, and we see where Bitcoin's at compared to a year ago. So at this point, I think it's fair to say that any discussion of who the next Warren Buffett will be has to include Cathie Wood. Another popular name that is a leader of millennial investing is Chamath Palihapitiya. Chamath Palihapitiya is the founder and CEO of venture capital firm Social Capital. Now, while Cathie Wood is held in high regard due to her stock picking strategy and results, investors who follow Palihapitiya closely are often looking to see what private company his firm is looking to take public as the next big thing. Social Capital has been very much a player in the resurgence of the blank check company. Years ago, they were called shell companies, which had a fairly shady reputation. Now they're known as SPACs, short for Special Purpose Acquisition Company, and are now considered by many to be the greatest things since sliced bread for companies looking to go public. And Social Capital and Chamath Palihapitiya have partnered with Hito Sophia and Ian Osborne to form Social Capital Hito Sophia Holdings with a plan to bring 26 SPACs to market. Right now, they're pretty early on in their endeavor, with only 6 SPACs having been created so far, and of those 6, 3 deals have been completed, bringing Virgin Galactic, Opendoor, and Clover Health public, all mergers which have been considered successful. A fourth one, trading under the ticker IPOE, recently identified SoFi as its merger target, which we did cover on the channel. When SoFi was announced, IPOE stock jumped, demonstrating that the identified target selected by Palihapitiya was well received by investors. 2 more SPACs are currently out there, which can be found under the tickers IPOD and IPOF, and investors are waiting to see what companies Chamath Palihapitiya comes up with next. Based on his past successes, many SPAC investors are buying into those SPACs without even knowing what companies will ultimately merge with. Instead, trying to get in early at a better price, betting and trusting that Chamath Palihapitiya will strike gold once again with their money. I mean, investors don't even know the company that his SPAC will merge with, and they'll still follow him. That says something. The man is so well thought of at this time, there's even talk of him running for governor of California. Which really isn't surprising when you see him in an interview. He definitely has a way about him that makes people listen, and he often speaks of the respect he has of the younger retail investor. So like Cathie Wood, Chamath Palihapitiya is another name that retail investors definitely stay tuned to. Another couple of names that hold a lot of influence with new investors are ones that have histories of not only investing in, but running successful companies, including both having origins in PayPal. Yep, the old PayPal mafia. The first name is one you will definitely know. Tesla CEO Elon Musk, a man who reached the rarefied status of being the richest man in the world in 2021. Many see him as a visionary, leading the charge to move the auto industry to an electrified future, as well as someone who is bringing solar to the forefront as a legit, realistic alternative energy solution. Both areas banking on Tesla's innovation in its battery technology. While everyone knows Tesla, many investors are also eagerly anticipating some of his other companies going public. The most well-known is SpaceX with its successful Starlink operations, and a potential candidate as a spin-off IPO. SpaceX is also the company that can bring Elon Musk's vision of colonizing Mars a reality. Other Elon innovative companies that aren't yet public include The Boring Company, which focuses on digging tunnels, and Neuralink, a company looking to create devices that can be implanted in the human brain to interface with AI. Now that's something to think about. But even beyond the companies he runs, just a tweet from Elon Musk can send his followers to take action on a company or even something like Bitcoin if he just merely mentions it. Another big name from PayPal that investors have flocked to is Peter Thiel. Other than PayPal, Peter Thiel has been a part of another popular company you've heard a lot of recently. Yes, Palantir. And back in 2004, he made a big investment in Facebook that resulted in him holding a 10% stake in the company. More recently, he's entered the world of SPACs, partnering with fellow billionaire Richard Lee to start 2 new SPACs focusing in Southeast Asia, Bridgetown Holdings and Bridgetown 2 Holdings. The original Bridgetown Holdings came out in October, and there have been rumors of it targeting Indonesia e-commerce giant Tokopedia, although as of this recording, nothing has been officially announced. When Palantir was readying its direct listing, we talked a lot about the company on the channel, and Peter Thiel was a common theme in the comments as to why they were investing in the company. Many people believe everything he touches turns to gold. We've been focusing a lot on IPOs on this channel. In fact, just about every IPO that's come out since last summer, and it's safe to say Peter Thiel has been the one name that stood out in the comments from every other founder taking their company public. There's a lot of reverence shown to him by people in our community. Okay, so there's a few specific names that a lot of new investors are looking at and following. But there's another big one out there that has a name but isn't a person. Instead, it's more a collection of people. No, I'm not talking about YouTube, although maybe you can help me out with YouTube and push that like button. But the collection of people I'm talking about is WallStreetBets. Have you heard of it? I'm sure a lot of you have, and if you haven't, well, have you heard of the GameStop phenomenon then? Because if you've heard of that, which would be hard to miss unless you've been off the grid, then you should know a lot of that was attributed to WallStreetBets. For those of you new to the name, WallStreetBets is a subreddit with about 4 million investors and counting. Now, I remember the days of Yahoo groups and other forums in the 1990s that you could hear a stock tip that might move a penny stock up for a day or two for no apparent reason before falling back. And until recently, I saw WallStreetBets on Reddit as being an updated version of those forums, a place where you can get a tip from someone that you have no idea who they are or if they have a clue what they're talking about, and it could turn out good or not so good. But I've never seen 2 specific phenomena in those old forums that I've seen with WallStreetBets. One is that some of the people that post in there really, and I mean really, are putting out some detailed information. Now, there's still the type of hyping going on there that hasn't existed in other forums for years, so new investors need to be careful to take in everything they read with a critical eye. It's just really important to look at the information and process it versus just taking it as absolute fact. The second thing, and to me the really big one, is how this subreddit has significantly and maybe fundamentally impacted the market on such a big scale. While I know there are some favorite companies on Wall Street Bets, and I'm sure that has led to those companies trading at valuations that are probably higher than they should be, that is nothing compared to what we've seen recently, which is probably the market story of the year so far, and that's what's gone on with GameStop. This is such a fascinating storyline of where the class of retail investors have banded together, risen up, and taken on the big establishment institutions, and at least in the case of GameStop, have beaten them. So for those of you who might have heard about the insanity of the stock but didn't completely understand the mechanism behind it, what happened is that retail investors within Wall Street Bets initiated a short squeeze on GameStop, pushing that stock price up significantly. Now, a short squeeze is a big increase in the price of a stock caused primarily by technical factors versus underlying fundamentals. And a short squeeze can occur when there's a lack of supply and an excess of demand for the stock due to the short sellers covering their positions. So basically, it was discussed on Wall Street Bets how so much of GameStop was being shorted that the users went all in and pushed their hand. And it worked. In a month's time, the stock went up from around $18 to over $350, and most of that was over 3 days. Now, my intention is not to talk about GameStop, but to talk about how the users of Wall Street Bets, where at least in this one case, came together to beat the establishment through accurate data analysis and a well thought out strategy. A real life example of David beating Goliath. And as someone that has invested for years and has seen what hedge funds have done, I have to say, it was great to see the little guy come out on top for once. We talk a lot about IPOs here, and I've seen the inequality of establishment institutions getting new stock at one price, while retail investors have to wait for it to start trading, only to see they often have to pay 2 to 3 times more for the stock just one day later. And with millions of users now part of Wall Street Bets subreddit, it's easy to see that many young investors are looking for investment advice and guidance within Wall Street Bets. And now after the GameStop situation, those numbers of investors will likely go much higher. Could it actually be that Wall Street Bets, a group of mostly anonymous people on the internet, be this generation's Warren Buffett? It could be. What do you think? Again, let me know in the comments who you think is the top choice for the new investor looking for guidance. Is it Cathie Wood, Chamath Palihapitiya, Elon Musk, Thiel, or Wall Street Bets? Or do you think it should be someone else, or not be anyone? Again, let me know. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'll be more than happy to make another video on the one that gets the most votes. So please keep in mind that the purpose of this video wasn't to tell you who you should listen to or not listen to, just to give you some details on where people are looking for information in 2021. Obviously, many of you, okay, just about all of you, also go to YouTube to find information. And some of that information, like anything, can be of dubious quality. For those of you that have been with me for a while, you know I'll never tell you what to do. My only goal is to give you the information, share some personal thoughts at times, always telling you when it's my opinion, and then hope you make the best decision for yourself for your situation. The biggest fear I have right now is that everyone who is new to investing in the stock market is feeling like a genius when they get into a market that has gone gangbusters over the past 10 months. I mean, it's hard not to when you're getting super solid returns. The last thing I want to do is to sound like a killjoy, but I feel you have to take a step back once in a while to make sure you're not totally getting swept into the current of the momentum. It can be really fun being swept away with it, until those times come, and they do, where the current takes you straight to a waterfall. My hope is to keep everyone in this community afloat by making well-informed, educated decisions. Now, if this is your first time on the channel and you're not yet part of the community, let's change that. All you have to do is hit that little subscribe button. After all, it's totally free. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like it, comment on it, and share with your friends and on any of your social media sites. And speaking of social media, I recently made the leap to Instagram, so definitely add me there. Although you'll see that I'm still learning that platform. Nothing new there, as I'm still learning YouTube too. Anyways, as always, I hope that we can all learn from each other on how to take little easy steps in making big improvements in our lives. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, have a great day.